Okay, so you are watching this video to help prepare you for a retake on your science skills quiz. So let me tell you about that retake. You are going to have a decision to make. Some of you only need to retake standard one, some of you only need to retake standard two, or some of you need to retake both. So you only do the section or sections that you need, but you're going to hear me go over the whole quiz on this to prepare you. And so here was the first section of our science skills quiz. It was standard one, and standard one was about observation and inference skills. So as we look at this picture, we have to remember this, that an observation is a fact that we can tell for sure using one or more of our five senses. Observation, fact, and an inference is a guess based on that observation. So when we look at this picture, we have to say, is it a fact that the cup has a handle? Or is that a guess? What about the cup being made of porcelain? What about, look at these words here, looks like it has steam coming from it. The contents of the cup are hot and the cup contains coffee. So here's what you should have had there. It is an observation or a fact that it has a handle. We do not know for sure that it's made of porcelain, making it an inference. It does look like it has steam coming from it. So that's an observation. If I didn't put looks like in there, that maybe could be debated. I bet the contents are hot, but we don't know for sure. That's an inference, and maybe it contains coffee, but not for sure. Now, if you were taking the digital form of the quiz, you had a different baby. But for my in-class students, this is the one you had. And so the baby's father also having chubby cheeks, that is definitely an inference. We don't see anything about his father, so that's a guess, or her father, not sure there of the gender. This baby does have hair, so we can see that as an observation or a fact. The baby has not cried today. I doubt it, but that's definitely an inference. The baby's eyes are open. That's a sure thing. That's a fact. And the baby just passed toxic gas. Luckily, we do not have our sense of smell, so that's an inference. Now, on your quiz, if you retake standard one, on your retake, you are going to have a different picture. It's actually not going to be a Mickey Minnie picture, but you are going to still need to do the same thing of 5 observations, 5 inferences. Overall, we did well on this set of questions, but let me tell you this, that it is an inference that they are in love. So some of you put that as an observation. Really, why do we think that they're in love? What do we see? Observation, we see a heart. Observation, we see them hugging. So if you don't know for sure, it's an inference. Okay, now, most people that are doing a retake, it's because of standard two, about being able to design and conduct an investigation. And so I wanted to look through this closely with you. And I have put in blue here some things to think about. Okay, so let's really reread this carefully together. Because I think some of you messed this up, honestly, because you read too fast. So Cindy and Latika heard, if you put, maybe you've heard this too, if you put Mentos candy in a Coke bottle, the Coke will shoot out of the water bottle, bottle like water from a garden hose. They decided to test that myth and see if it would work with another kind of soda as well. So Cindy and Latika bought, now listen to what they bought. They bought 3 2-liter bottles of Coke, 3 2-liter bottles of Sprite, and 1 package of Mentos. Cindy put 3 Mentos, notice I put the 3 in blue, 3 Mentos into one of the 2-liter bottles of Coca-Cola. The Coke shot out of the bottle and she recorded her observations. Cindy repeated this experiment 2 more times, so we're assuming there are those 2 times she put in 3 Mentos. Each time the Coke sprayed out of the bottle, confirming the myth that Mentos and Coke creates a soda geyser. Latika tested the Sprite bottles. She put, if we get interrupted, my husband's coming in. Okay, so, sorry about that. So Latika tested the Sprite bottles. She put 1 Mentos candy in 1 2-liter bottle of Sprite. The candy fizzed and created bubbles. Oh, look at that. 1 Mentos. Latika repeated this experiment 2 more times and recorded her observations. Each time the candy fizzed and created bubbles and sprayed out of the bottle. Let's see if I can move myself out of the way there. There we go. Cindy and Latika found the Mentos and the Coke myth to be true, but they found it only worked with Coca-Cola. Other sodas did not spray soda out of the bottle when Mentos were added. So the first 3 questions were about identifying variables, and I always tell you this. I changed the independent variable, think I. So what were Cindy and Latika really in charge of? And that was the type of soda that they purchased. So that was the true independent variable. Now, I'll get to this soon, but I had some students mark the Mentos candy was also an independent variable, which I counted. Now, the dependent variable was definitely what the pop did, whether it sprayed or fizzed, whether it reacted. Now, remember, we actually record data about the dependent variable. Another way to think of it is whether or not it sprayed or fizzed depended on the type of soda. So whatever they're recording results about, that's your dependent variable. And they did a very good job keeping this variable constant. The amount of soda that got tested was definitely kept constant. They did 3 2 liters of Coke, 3 2 liters of Sprite. So it brings us to this really important question with this learning target of being able to understand a scientific investigation. So were they actually reliable? What I mean by reliable is, were they very trustworthy in this? And the answer to that is 100% no. And this is how I explained it. This experiment is not reliable because they actually had 2 independent variables. This is an important sentence here. You have to keep everything else constant except for your independent variable. And here's the problem with changing 2 things. We don't know if Cindy and Latika's results are because of the type of soda, which is their original thing they wanted to discover with their investigative question, or if it was due to changing the number of Mentos. Remember, they put 3 Mentos each time in the Coke bottle and only 1 in the Sprite bottle. So when you do your retake, you're going to be reading about a different experiment. You're going to be answering the same 4 questions. I am not telling you that this is for sure an unreliable experiment. I might have said that it was reliable. So what are you looking for? You are looking to see, did they control every variable in the experiment you'll read about on the retake except the one that they were testing for? That's really the key. Okay, so now that you've watched this, you should be ready to take your retake. If you have any questions for me, you be sure to email or talk to me in class.